here from stampwithlorraine.com. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the U.S. and I'd like to share a fun technique with you today. There are a lot of techniques that use some torn paper in many different ways, and I'm going to get to a lot of the ways in another video. But today I'd like to show you one that's really kind of popular these days. I've seen a lot of tutorials on this, and I'd like to share with you today some of my versions of the cards. Basically, all you need, this is so simple, all you need is a card base and one layer and something to reveal underneath. So here's what the card's going to look like. We tear back just a section of that one layer on top of your card base to reveal some beautiful DSP, and Stampin' Up! Have some gorgeous ones in the new 2022-23 annual catalog, and a new mini catalog coming up in July. So stay tuned for that. So it basically looks like we've torn away a piece of the front to reveal something underneath. Now it's good to use a piece of DSP that has some kind of a scene or an image rather than something that has just a pattern, a plaid or something, or dots or something like that. Something that has an image that is fun to look at and to reveal something that's underneath. It reminds me of The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy opens up the door and everything becomes color and beautiful inside. So that's kind of like a little secret reveal there. So I'm going to show you how to do that. A lot of them are done in white. You can also have DSP on your top and reveal your image. And you can also stamp something in the lower part of your card and add some images or embellishments around there. You also don't have to do white. You can have some colors too. So I'm going to show you all these cards in just a little bit. So stay tuned, and I'll show you even a few more ideas that you can do with this. So please, if you like the video, please give me a comment or thumbs up down below. I'd like to hear your feedback, and it really helps me help my stampers. So also you can go to my blog, stampwithlorraine.com. You can sign up for my newsletters there and stay in touch and get some other tips and tricks and some card tutorials exclusive to my mailing list. So hope you enjoyed the video, and stay tuned to the end to see all my examples. Basically, you just have to start with a card base. I'm going to just do all white for now. I'm going to show you a color a little bit on the third round of this card, maybe. Okay, so white and a layer. All right, so your typical layer, which is 1/4 inch smaller than your card base. Okay, so 5 1/4 by 4 works well. All right, and then what this is actually going to look like, I don't have one all put together yet, but we're going to tear a piece across, roll it up so it reveals, now this is too small here, but it reveals a piece of the card inside. So like it's torn away, like a little package, just seeing what's inside. Now this is something that you probably are not going to want to send through the mail, so it's going to be maybe a card that you hand off to somebody. So it's really, really simple, and this is why I said something with an actual image or a scene, something in here. I've seen some really interesting ones coming through here. So so that's what we're going to do. So that's why I said I didn't want you to cut your DSP early. I wanted to show you what it was going to look like and what you want to reveal, because you might choose to have a certain piece of it, you know, more than others. Or if you have a scene, this is retired DSP, but if you had a scene, say like the trees, you would want to cut it in a way so that the trees are revealed and not cut off, you know, or chopped in a certain way. So something like that would look really cool as well. So this is the retired beauty of the earth. Okay, so watch how easy. All you have to do is tear back the center. So you're going to make 2 tears right along here, and to make it have that rustic look, if you remember, you want to tear in an upward direction so that you see those layers of fibers in the paper, so it gives it that little bit more rustic look, okay, rather than too much of a straight edge. If I turn it over, you can see it just kind of looks straight, and you want it to look like a rough tear. So what we're going to do is I'm going to you want the middle part to tear up on this side and this side. And this can be at any part of the card, just depending on how much you want revealed. And you're just going to tear that up, and then you see those fibers there. We'll do the same thing on the other side, tearing the middle piece up. And like I said, depending on how much you want to reveal your image of the designer paper underneath, depends how wide you make this. Okay, so I think about that is typically good, but you can decide on based on what you are working with. Now we're going to roll this up. Now this is an awful lot of cardstock. You really don't need that much. You just want the effect of it being rolled. So you can cut off maybe a third to a half of that. And then it's going to be rolled up inside. So like I said, you don't need the whole thing. It'll be a little less bulky, but you'll still have the same effect. So if you take your thin paintbrush, or I saw somebody use a Q-tip, and what I did was I just took the cotton off one end, because then when I roll it, then I can just pull it out. So I like to roll it first just to get that nice tight roll of paper there. And then I'll unroll it a little bit and add some adhesive. And you can actually add some adhesive all along the way to make sure it stays tight, or you can just put some close to the end here and it will stay in there as well. So by doing this, and then I could just pull the Q-tip out, that works really well. So I appreciate the person who showed me that one. Okay, so now you want to stamp your sentiment before you adhere everything, because you know what happens if you make a little mistake, then it's kind of ruined, or you have to cover it up with something else. So here's where I suggest having a long, thin sentiment instead of something big and chunky. So I'm just going to use this little happy birthday right here. I've seen a lot of cards with this. Look how pretty that is. So now you want this to be a little bit smaller. You don't have to have it the whole width of the layer or the whole length, but you do want it to come all the way to the edge here. So the rest will not be seen. So as long as it's a little shorter, that's fine. If you want to, you can cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5. Let me just snip this a little bit here. Okay, then we're going to put glue on the back. Actually, let's put this down first. Oh, I got a little smudge of glue there. Okay, so I'm going to unroll this a little bit, and you can either use your liquid glue or you can use your tape roller. You can put a bunch like this. You can put glue dots underneath. Whatever works for you. You do want it to stay nicely. And it looks kind of cool if you even go a little bit at an angle, like it's not so straight. You can also maybe take some tweezers and pull some up a little bit before you actually add the glue, so it looks a little bit more randomly rolled instead of just such a perfect thing, right? Okay, so that's pretty tight. Like I said, if you wanted to, you can put a couple of glue dots under there to make sure it stays really tight. I didn't want to go too far with the tape roller, with the Stamp and Seal, because I didn't want to, like I said, I didn't want to go too far with it. So this way I can just sneak my glue dots underneath, and it holds it nicely. So it just looks like torn away, and you see a beautiful scene. Okay, so then we're going to put glue on the back here. I'm going to just use my liquid glue because then I could adjust it as needed. Get my silicone mat so I don't get glue all over the place. Now you want it to meet up to the edge here, and I'm making sure I get all of those colors in there. This Hues of Happiness DSP is very pretty. But one of the things that you will see in this is across the paper, it's kind of like a rainbow effect. Now this is one of them where you see some yellows going into the peachy pinks and into the darker pinks. So you have that array of colors going all the way across. So you want to choose the part that you like the best. So it gives you options. Like here's one I cut a circle out of. So again, it started from purples and into the pinks and the yellows and the pinks. So I wanted more of the colors, so I went more in the middle when I cut that circle. Okay, so we have that, and then we can attach that to our card front. And we have a nice, clean, and simple card. If you want, you can always pop this up with dimensionals. Okay, center that. And then, of course, a couple of embellishments to top it all off. I have these glossy dots assortments. I'm going to use a couple of the, I don't know, pink or purple. I don't know. What do we think? Either one would look nice. Sometimes I actually have to just pick them off and put them over here to see what I want to do. Okay, let's see what the purple looks like. It's not as much purple on here, but I don't know. Yeah, I'll go with the pink. There's more pink on there. All right, so threes work nicely. These glossy dots have 3 different sizes. I think I'll use the small and the medium. Oops, hello. Okay, so have a nice simple card there, right? Okay, so then another thing you can do if you would rather stamp something, we can create our own little scene. I'm going to do something right in the middle here. I'm going to use a little bit of my blending brushes to create maybe a feel of some water. Remember, tap off a little bit so that it's doesn't come on too strong right away. And let me grab some yellows and oranges to create the sunset. A little bit of pumpkin pie and daffodil delight. Oh, dropped over my jar of twine. Blend that in nicely. And then maybe a little yellow at the top. I'm not even sure how much will be seen, but we don't want to take the chance that some white will show through. Or you can use a DSP that has a soft background to this. Okay, that could work. And if you wanted to, you can stamp an image over that, you know, like some flowers and color them in, or a beachy scene, which is kind of what I'm looking for here. So I'm going to use this instead of my DSP layer. And then I'm going to use another piece of white. And I'm going to tear approximately where those colors are. So just put a little tear. I kind of measured it like that to see where I want it to be. Remember tearing the middle part up. And over here again, the middle part up. And I think I'll stamp a few little birds in there. I have some seagulls here. kind of show through. That's okay, because I'm going to put a few more on the top here. Okay. Cut some of this off to avoid the bulk. And I'm just going to trim this down just a little bit, because that was originally 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, so now I can bring that over here, and I can even move it down a little bit, and now the birds are showing through a little more. Okay, so I'm going to roll this up, and I'm going to roll it a little bit on the downward side this time. Just first, oh, the other one was downward. Okay, doesn't matter. I'm going to pull the inside out a little bit so you can kind of see how that looks, you know, like a scroll. Okay, so always keep some tweezers handy. Oh, look, that one's already falling down a little bit. So that's kind of the look I was hoping for. So it's already falling in. And then I will just add my glue. I'll put just a little run here. And then my glue dots to really hold it exactly where I want it to be. Come on. Just sneak them right in there. Make sure they're tucked in. Okay. And we'll put a sentiment on there just to keep things easy. I'll use Happy Birthday again. This is from the Happiness Abounds. I love these fonts and all these sayings on there. Okay, and it matches with the Hues of Happiness DSP. Okay, probably a good idea to stamp that before you attach that, because that got in the way a little bit. Okay, so then what I will probably do to finish this one off is maybe stamp a little sailboat in there. I was hoping to, I didn't think ahead, I was hoping to add a sailboat from this sailboat punch that is new with the Let's Set Sail set, but I didn't leave enough space here. I should have done that. So I will do up another one and show you how that looks. So yeah, this is a little bit big. I would have brought it down a little further, but you can imagine. And I didn't know if I would want red sails or blue sails, but that could look rather cute, right? So there's the red with the black, or let's try the blue. Okay, so yeah, that would look nice too. Okay, or this comes with, this is just stamped with the cardstock, but it comes with the stamped images as well. So you can stamp them first and then punch them out. So, of course, I didn't know what it was going to look like, so I tried different versions. So I will punch that. This is getting in the way a little bit. Okay, so this way you'll have a little bit more of a border around there, of course. Depending on the look that you want. All right, so that's how that looks. And I also tried one where I stamped red on the red. And we'll see what that looks like. You can see different options. A lot of people say, where do you come up with your ideas, or how do you decide? Well, this is it, trial and error. Just got to try it out sometimes, try all the possibilities. Okay, now I think that's going to get in the way. I have to trim that little. So of course you could put flowers on the outside here, along with what you have on the inside. If you have something subtle on the inside, you could put a flower out there. You can put your butterfly trinket, which would look really nice. Okay, so I'm not sure I'm liking that quite as much. Maybe if I also stamped the boat, maybe that would look better. I don't know. Let's see what this one looks like. Yeah, that looks okay too. So I'll have to decide. I would certainly maybe move the sentiment over if I had the sailboat there. So I'll work something up and we'll see what that looks like. Now you can also reverse this if you wanted to. We can use DSP for the top and have that tear away instead of having the white part tear away. And it will tear away to reveal the sentiment. Okay, 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to be the top layer. And I'm going to have that tear away something a little smaller this time because I just wanted to reveal a sentiment. Okay, tearing up the middle. And I'll cut this down a little. Okay. And then I could stamp my sentiment right in that opening there. So just for another idea. Again, I have happy birthday, so we'll do that. You always need birthday cards. Just going to fold that out of the way for a moment so I know where to go. Again, cut this down. Give it a roll. Give it a spin. Okay, the important part is just getting that first piece in there nice and tight. Okay, maybe if you go right to the edge there with your tape runner, it will hold a little bit better, because especially with the DSP, it is a little lighter, so you don't have to worry quite so much about that. So you could use some of this variegated color in the background too if you wanted to, like put your sailboat or flowers in front, just for something a little different. Okay, remember you want to go right to the edge here, otherwise you're not going to get that effect. Oh, I want to bring this down a little bit. See, this is where the glue comes in handy. There we go. And then that could go on there. Then if you wanted to, you can also trim this down a little bit and have another layer underneath. Okay, maybe mossy meadow would look nice because that's in there, or brown, or any of the yellow. So I'll finish that up and show you. Maybe like early espresso might look nice frame there, either that or the mossy meadow. So I'll finish that up and show you what that looks like. Maybe add a couple little, I can see a couple of the little butterflies in there. So that could be fun. All right, and then you can always do this with colors as well. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at one of the Celebration DSPs. I thought would look cute with this. They're little birds. Not birds in all of the things, but this is one of the patterns. So I liked this, and I thought it would look cute with the little birds being revealed there. And so you can use colors as well. That would be fine. All right, so same thing. Just put a sentiment, maybe a couple little embellishments around. Maybe even some twine on this one because it has a little bit more rustic look. So I'll finish that one up and show you what that looks like. Now here's another little helpful hint. Once you've torn your paper and you've cut off a piece of it, because again you don't need that bulk, To start getting the fold, to break down the fibers of the paper to make it easier to fold, you can use your bone folder and carefully just use it to curl the edge. Like I said, to kind of break down those fibers to make it easier. And also gives it a little bit of a crinkle look too, because you're looking for that rustic torn paper look, so it's okay. So I go a little bit both ways and ending with that way because you're going to get that little curl, kind of like when you're doing curling ribbon. All right, so then you'll continue to roll it up. So this one I've already done, and some of my other cards I've rolled it this way. Nothing is wrong with rolling it the other way, turning it around. So this one I'm going to add a little something different. I'm starting with my card base, and I'm going to put a layer in between the white with the DSP behind it. I'm going to put a layer of early espresso. So this is 5 1/4 by 4, and you can see I used my postage stamp punch to punch out a couple of those pieces that I can use later, because this is not going to be seen. Remember, it's going to be covered over by some DSP and the white layer. Okay, so the white layer, the top layer, is now a little bit smaller because it's not only the second layer, so it's a third layer, so we have to go a little bit smaller. So this is going to be 5 by 3 3/4, 1/4 inch smaller each time you go in the layer. And I've already rolled this up and glued it down. We're going to have it open from the other side this time. I'm using Abigail Rose Designer Series paper, beautiful paper in the 2022-23 annual catalog. And I've cut this paper down even smaller because I wanted to save just an extra little piece for another project. I like to be a little frugal that way. And it's especially easier to do it this way because there's a dark background. If I have a dark DSP and I don't have this dark background, if this was just over another white layer, you might see through it. And you probably can't see it with the camera now, but you could probably see through this layer because there's a big difference between the dark DSP and the white. But because I have the dark cardstock in between, it's no problem. Okay, the most important thing is that the opening is covered, top, bottom, left, and the right side is even with this edge here. That way you get that look of it being torn away and being revealed. So I'm going to glue that together, and then we'll see what it all looks like. Okay, now of course I should have stamped this first, but I'm going to take my chances here. Okay, if not, I can always cover it with a label. So I just wanted to remind you that it's helpful to stamp this even before you roll it sometimes, but if you don't, if you roll first, you want to be careful that you have enough room for your block to fit on your cardstock when you're stamping it without squishing your roll, whatever. So if this should happen, just instead of having your stamp in the center of your block, move it over to the edge. Of course, then you have enough room and it's not going to get in the way of your block and your stamping there. So let's do that stamping. Yay! Okay, all was well and good. So all my sentiments today were from Happiness Abounds, which coordinates with the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper and has some wonderful die cuts to go along with that as well. All right, so now let's add some embellishments. I have some brushed metallic dots here. They're adhesive back, so you don't have to add any glue. You just pick them up with take your pick tool and just put them onto your project. So you have 3 different colors, gold, copper, and a brass color. And any of these would really look nice on this card. I'm just going to choose the brass because I want to keep it a little bit toned down. And we can put a couple of different sizes on here. You have a large and a small. Okay, and then you have a clean and simple looking card. Very pretty. Love those dark, rich colors. So now let's take a look at all of our cards. Okay, so we started off with a card that you've seen probably other demonstrators do. This just lends itself so beautifully to this card, this Hues of Happiness paper, and that's why you see a lot of that around. But I wanted to show you just how beautiful that is. So you can do white on white with your DSP in the background. You can do a colored cardstock with your DSP in the background. You can put your DSP on top, have it pull away and reveal your sentiment, just stamped on the white layer. And what's nice about this is the back side of the DSP is usually something different, so you will see that contrast there, which really makes that roll pop even more. And of course you can do some stamping or some brushing or sponging on your card background layer. And here I added some a sea star and a scallop punched. Actually, I fussy cut this. You could die cut them, but I just fussy cut them. It was nice and easy. It's a small thing. So this is Crumb Cake, and this was Petal Pink. And I stamped the birds here and here as if they're coming off. So a lot of ideas with that. You can put things on the outside and the inside, a nice little focus there. So I hope you've enjoyed these cards, and I hope you try some of your own. Again, thanks for watching.